What's up, everybody? Arcade 92 is out here at Texas Pinball Festival 2026 in Frisco, Texas. Today we are diving into our opinion of the top new pinball machines of 2026. Our main criteria is simply that we are focusing on games that weren't available at the last year's festival. There's a couple exceptions that we couldn't ignore. We've been flipping everything we can get our hands on to bring you what stood out to us most. So get ready for some fun takes. And we're not wasting any time. We're starting with our absolute favorite and working our way down from there. So if you couldn't make it, or just didn't know where to start in all the chaos, we got you covered. So let's start out with our favorite. Coming in at our number one pick for Arcade 92's top pinball of 2026 is Harry Potter by Jersey Jack. This machine absolutely nails what fans love about the films. It stays true to the iconic story, the characters, and the world we all grew up with. It really feels like stepping right into the wizarding world. There are 3 editions available: the Collector's Edition at around $15,000, the Wizard Edition at $12,000, and the Arcade Edition at $10,000. We spent most of our time on the Wizard Edition, and honestly, we are blown away. From the moment you start playing, it's packed with eye-catching features, the rotating staircase that seems to have a mind of its own, constantly shifting and keeping you on your toes. In the upper playfield, you've got a Quidditch match, which is just incredible to see in action. And what really sets this machine apart is how it pulls off the entire story. From the early films all the way through the Deathly Hallows, including Horcruxes and key moments that fans will instantly recognize. This is more than just a pinball machine, it is a full experience, and for us, it easily takes the top spot in this year. Coming in at number 2 is Medieval Madness by Chicago Gaming Company. Now, we're going to completely be unapologetic for our bias here. This game shares the same DNA with one of our greatest pinballs of all time, which is Attack from Mars, and you can feel it immediately. Medieval Madness brings the same fast, satisfying gameplay, but with unforgettable twists. Instead of battling Martians, you're launching full on-scale attacks against the castles, 6 of them, from the Earl of Ego all the way up to the King of Pain. There are bonus moments along the way with trolls popping out of nowhere, giving you more targets and chances to rack up a high score. What really makes this machine stand out is the physical gameplay, and the color DMD work perfectly together. Watching the castles get destroyed and everything lights up is incredibly satisfying. Even though this game is a newer release, it perfectly captures the nostalgic vibe from the golden era of pinballs in the 1980s, and the voiceovers are absolutely hilarious. They have you laughing, which honestly makes hitting those critical shots even harder. Coming in at number 3 is Winchester Mystery House by Barrels of Fun Pinball. This is their 3rd pinball release, and honestly, they are 3 for 3 for us. Every game they've put out has been a home run, and this one continues that winning streak. The best way to describe this machine: if you've ever been to Disneyland and experienced the Haunted Mansion ride, this is the pinball version of that. It captures the same eerie, immersive, story-drawn feeling from start to finish. From the moment you start playing, the custom graphics on the ramps pull you into the haunted house experience. The lighting, the audio cues take it even a step further, creating the atmosphere that feels alive, or dead in this case. And then there's one of the coolest features, a second monitor built into the back of the playfield that opens the door for some truly unique haunted effects that you just don't normally see in a pinball game. This isn't just a pinball machine, it's an adventure. Coming in at number 4 is Beetlejuice by Spooky Pinball. This machine is an excellent representation of the movie. It absolutely nails those comedic horror vibes, packed with nostalgia and the personality from start to finish. If you're a fan of the film, you're going to be right at home the moment you hit start. The ramps take you on a full adventure throughout the story, and the execution overall is really well done. The callouts, the visuals, the theme integration all come together to create a super fun and immersive experience. Now, the reason we didn't rank this one higher comes down to some gameplay flow. There are 3 main scoops on the playfield, and it feels like a large percentage of those shots end up in a scoop. The ramps themselves aren't necessarily hard to hit, but getting into that sweet spot felt a bit more inconvenient than difficult. That said, our favorite part of this machine is the sandworm. Absolutely brilliant. This is one of those moments that just sticks with you and perfectly captures the spirit of Beetlejuice. Overall, this is fun, nostalgic, and creative machine that earns a solid number 4 spot. Coming in at number 5 is Dune by Barrels of Fun. The very first thing we noticed is the music. It's powerful. It makes you feel like you're ready to grab a sword and fight for Arrakis right then and there. The audio combined with the lighting creates a truly epic atmosphere right out of the gate. But that's also where the problems come in. After you spend a little bit of time with it, a few things start to stand out. The audio, while strong, can be a bit rough, especially on the bass side of things. Think of the bass in the trunk of a 1996 Nissan. It rattles a lot. The lighting is also impressive, but the full spectrum of LEDs didn't quite fit the monochromatic world of Arrakis. If it leaned more into a limited desert tone palette, it could make the experience even more immersive. Now don't get me wrong, this is still an amazing pinball machine, but these details are why it lands in more of the middle of the pack for us. And lastly, once you get past the initial excitement, you start to notice that the playfield is actually pretty simple by today's standards, which takes a bit away from the long-term depth. Still, great game, great presence, still definitely worth playing. Coming in at number 6 is Pokemon by Stern Pinball. Now honestly, this one was very close. It was almost a tie with Dune just barely edging it out. Pokemon features a simpler playfield, just 2 flippers and 4 main lanes, but in this case, that simplicity actually works better than you'd expect. It feels smooth, approachable, and fun right from the start. And let's be real, for anyone who grew up in the 90s, this is kind of a dream come true. Seeing Pokemon brought into pinball form makes this an instant collector's piece and a huge nostalgic hit. Even if you're not a big Pokemon fan, which, let's be honest, it's rare in the pinball world, you'll probably find yourself more engaged than you expected. The theme really pulls you in. That said, outside of the theme, the gameplay itself seems fairly familiar. It feels very similar to the Stern machines from the mid-2010s, with the modern edition being the Insider Connect, of course. End of the day, it's a solid, fun machine with a powerful theme, but it doesn't break a lot of new ground beyond that. Still, for what it's worth, it absolutely delivers. Coming in at number 7 is Star Wars Fall of the Empire by Stern Pinball. Now let me start here. This is a great pinball machine. It plays well, looks great, and it's Star Wars, which is always going to be bring a good, strong presence. But I do have a bit of a theory I'd like to share with you. With the release of Pokemon, which, let's be honest, was a bit of a risk for Stern given the traditional pinball demographics, this Star Wars feels like it's a bit of a counter, safer bet release that seems a little too suspiciously timed out. And to be fair, that all makes sense, but at the same time, we have to recognize that the pinball community has done an excellent job bringing in the younger audience over the years. The demographic is definitely evolving. That's why this one feels a little bit too safe. In a universe as massive as Star Wars, there was just so much more content that could have been explored, from Episode 1 from 1999 all the way up to the newer shows that are existing today. And when you compare it with the Stern Star Wars release from about 8 years ago, it's just not that different. But with the size and influence that Stern has today, I would really encourage them to take more risk and push that envelope even further. Coming in at number 8 is Alice in Wonderland by Dutch Pinball. First off, wow, just wow. The artistry of this machine is incredible. The artwork is an absolute grand slam, and the playfield is just gorgeous. Gameplay-wise, it's definitely fun, and the upper playfield is a great and unique feature that adds something to the experience. But similar to some of my critique on Dune and Beetlejuice, after about 10 minutes, the gameplay started to feel a bit flat. It's not necessarily that the shots are too hard, it's that they just feel that they're very inconvenient, and the overall flow just doesn't quite come together in the way you typically would want to. Now, something we really haven't talked about is price, but it matters here. This pinball sits around the $13,000 mark, and when you factor that in, it's competing directly with something like Jersey Jack's Harry Potter, and at that point, it's a tough comparison. Unless you're in the camp that just doesn't like the theme Harry Potter and you're a huge fan of Alice in Wonderland, then this would really speak to you, but beyond that, it's a hard case to make at this price point. Coming in at number 9 is Houdini 100th Year Anniversary Edition by American Pinball. Without diving too deep into everything that has come before, I'll say this. I am confident that this could be American Pinball's comeback pinball machine. Houdini is packed with depth. There are tons of gameplay features, and what is really cool is how some of them feel almost hidden. As you discover them, it creates these moments where you genuinely get excited, and it keeps pulling you back in. Now, we don't always talk about price again, but it does come into play here just as it did before. At around $8,000, the question is, can this compete with a Stern Pro pinball around $7,000? I would say yes. And honestly, the feature set feels closer to a Stern Premium than a Pro. In fact, from a gameplay standpoint, this is almost a tie with some of the Stern pinball machines that I have ranked above it. But we did run into a couple issues. During gameplay, we saw some small cosmetic pieces fall off, and another time we got a ball stuck in a spot that felt more like a design flaw than just bad luck. It's a great pin, no doubt, but those reliability concerns make us wonder if home use owners are going to find themselves taking the glass off more often than they would like to. Still a strong showing, and definitely one to watch. Now for number 10 is Yukon Yeti by Turner Pinball. Let's start with this. It is an amazing pin. The sights, the sound, the gameplay, they're all fantastic. From the moment you start playing, it pulls you in. The ski lift feature and the downhill runs, yep, that gets the dopamine going real quick, and it's just plain fun. But this is also a great example of some smart design. Even though LEDs can do pretty much any color you can imagine, Turner Pinball did a great job by limiting the color palette to match the snowy mountain vibe. It really adds to the immersion. So how did we get to number 10 then? It comes down to price, yet again. At a $10,000 price point, Turner Pinball has put Yukon Yeti in direct competition with Stern Premium pinball machines, as well as Jersey Jack's Harry Potter Arcade Edition, for example. But if you're tired of the mainstream themes and want a unique theme, this would probably be much higher up the list. Coming in at number 11 is The Walking Dead by Stern Pinball. Now this one may come as a surprise to some people, seeing it so low on the list, but for us, this is another example of Stern playing it a little too safe. At the pace that the industry is moving right now, this is something that Stern is going to want to keep an eye on. Yes, we understand this is a remake, but outside of some updated cosmetic and heavy use of the signature red color palette, it just feels like there was a lot of opportunity left on the table by Stern. It's kind of like Megan stepped up with Lucille, and instead of knocking it out of the park, it ends up being more of a base hit. There are some standout elements. The skull feature under the left ramp is a nice touch, but beyond that, it does not feel like too much of an evolution. Especially when you compare it to Stern's previous remakes, such as Metallica, where you could really see a reimagined experience. With The Walking Dead, it feels a little more like a slight refresh, almost a copy and paste with just a few upgrades. It's still a solid machine, but one that leaves you wanting more. We got to play several of the P3 pinball machines, and while our rating system is not quite going to work for P3 pinball, mostly because it's not just a single pinball machine. It's a great system, it's very, very clever, but as you can see, there's lots of different games. Portal is the newest release, The Princess Bride, Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity, Final Resistance, which is a game that I love because the same music was done on one of my favorite games of Total Nuclear Annihilation. But you can see there's over 25 games available in this one pinball machine, so the way we're going to rate this is not going to work the exact same way that we would rate all the previous machines. What we will say, though, is this is a very unique way to do things, and I would highly recommend it from what we've seen. The latest game, Portal, was actually a ton of fun to play, and I got to play a few of the other games as well, and honestly, I found them all quite enjoyable. I was very surprised to see that the new Predator pinball by Pinball Brothers was not at Texas Pinball Festival. I was so very much looking forward to playing this game. So all I have to go off of is a couple online images of the playfield, and honestly, it looks like it did great. I feel like it would easily have hung in the middle to the top of the pack of everything that we were able to play. So we will simply refer to Predator with a quote from Monty Python in The Search for the Holy Grail, and we'll refer to Predator as Sir not appearing in this film. Overall, the Pinball Festival was fantastic, and we always love it, and we're looking forward to seeing what these guys come up with next year.